Peace and blessings, everyone. Let me see if I can see what's going on in here. I don't see my face. Why don't I see my face? Let's see. Let me make sure I'm connected to audio. You all know that I had technical difficulties before. Let me make sure. Let's see. Let me see. If you all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. If you all can see me, put a 2 in the chat. I just want to make sure. So this is like, I don't go live on YouTube that often. So I just want to test it out and make sure that you all can see and hear me. So put a 1 in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me. I'm trying to make sure. I don't see a picture. I'm not seeing a picture. Oh, there's a delay. There I am. Okay, I can see myself now. Okay, so now let me see if I can see you all's comments, or let's see. Let me see. I'm trying to do better and get into like this whole video thing. So I said, you know what, let me switch it up this time. I said, let me go live on YouTube instead of Facebook, because you all may not be connected with me on Facebook, and I want to make sure that you are getting the information. I want to make sure that you're getting the information. But I also want to be able to see your comments. I don't know how I can see the comments on this video. If you all have a question, how do I see your comments? I'm gonna have to do some more research on this thing they call YouTube, or I'm telling you. All right, so we're gonna move forward anyway. And then if you all have questions, drop your questions in the comment section and I will circle back and address any questions that you may have. But I wanted to hop on here this evening so that we can talk about the structure of your consumer report. And I say consumer report because I want to make sure that we are changing the language, right? I want to make sure that we are changing the language because once we change the language, it helps our understanding. And once we have a better understanding of what's going on, we can make more reasonably informed decisions. Hope that makes sense. Hoping that that makes sense. All right, close that out. So hoping that you all can see my video. I wish that I can tell if you all could see my video. Maybe it's my signal. Maybe it's possibly my signal. Is it my signal? It's like it's going in and out. All right, so anyway, I wanted to hop on here and talk about structure because some of the information that I've been giving over the last few days is giving you all a breakdown in a way that you can understand of the consumer laws, right? So the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, Truth in Lending, and then we also went over the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. But I wanted to talk about how using consumer laws can benefit you in terms of how you use your credit. So it's not just about the fact that you're being violated every single day. It's like, okay, we get that part, but how do I use consumer law to my benefit where I can have a better life, help my family have a better life, and really have access to the things that the things that we actually need to have access to, right? So how much battery? I got 25%. All right, so let me disconnect this. And so that leads me to my discussion about credit structure. That's why I wanted to hop on here and talk about credit structure, right? because credit structure affects us every single day. And so when you begin to study the consumer law, it's like, okay, well, how do I use the consumer law to ensure that I have a good credit structure so that I can go and apply for the things that I need? Right? That's the overall question. Right? How is it going to apply to me? How do I apply for the things that I need? Right? So if you all go back in my videos, you know that I did a lesson on the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? And I specifically explained that when you go to apply for an extension of credit, that is a transaction that occurs between you and the lender, or whatever business you're taking care of where they have to pull your credit and you provided them with your social security number, right? That is a transaction between you and that company. When that company then takes it upon themselves to report the private information that you provided to them during a consumer credit transaction, and they did not properly advise you of your ability to opt out from credit reporting, nor did they obtain your explicit written permission in order to report that private transaction on your consumer report, that act removes you from the equation at that point. That transaction becomes, or that credit reporting becomes a transaction between the company and the consumer reporting agency, you know, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. Doesn't have anything to do with you. And it doesn't matter that you applied for the product. That is a completely separate transaction, right? The act of credit reporting is a separate transaction. So if you have something on your credit report that is an item that is not helping your situation, is not boosting your FICO score, it's a derogatory item, it's negatively affecting you, it is considered a bad item, I guess, however you want to describe it. And you remember when you apply for that transaction and you did not remember signing a form, or they did not provide you with any paperwork that clear and conspicuously advised you of your rights and your ability to opt out from that credit reporting, then that's something that should not be on your credit report. It shouldn't be on your credit report. And so this is where consumer law comes in, right? Because if you go back and you read the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it specifically says that if you notify a company, or if you notify the consumer reporting agencies that there is an item on your credit report that you did not provide approval for it to be there, then they have to remove it. Now, if you go and study the FCRA and really understand what information is being relayed to you through these laws, you will know and understand that no consent equals identity theft. So if you did not provide explicit written permission for this item to be reported on your credit report, they took your information, they took the information that you provided in a private consumer credit transaction. You sat down with someone at a desk, or you made a phone call, or whatever that application looked like. This was information that you specifically relayed to this company that they then took and reported it to the CRA. But if you did not give them permission to do that, that means that they took your information and transferred it to a non-affiliated third party. And so what do I mean by non-affiliated? Okay. A company that you apply with has nothing to do with the consumer reporting agency. Nothing whatsoever, right? It's a non-affiliated third party. So not only were you violated, you were violated, your rights are violated, your privacy is violated. They violated your privacy by reporting information that you did not give them permission to report. There's no other way to put it. So no consent equals identity theft. No consent equals identity theft. There's no other way to look at it. These companies, they went and they created a profile about you that is supposed to be reflective of you and who you are, but you did not give them permission to do that. When did you ever give them permission to report? Just put it in the comments if you remember sitting down with someone at a desk when you went to apply for something and you gave them specific written permission to report on your credit. You probably don't remember signing anything separate because you didn't. 99.99999, probably 100% of the times, these lenders do not properly advise you of your rights, right? They just don't, because they're in the business of making money. They make money by selling your information. Everybody's making money off of you and you don't know. Everybody's making money. So why aren't you making money? Right? So you didn't get permission. You didn't get permission. So if you notify the CRA, the consumer reporting agencies, which is whom most people call credit bureaus, they're not bureaus. There's nothing federal about these companies. These are regular corporations and LLCs. They're not federally backed by Congress, nor were they appointed to do what they're doing. This was just a person that one day decided to collect your information and sell it. And so now they're these huge corporations and people think that they are bureaus. There's nothing federal about TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Nothing whatsoever. So how was it not identity theft if you did not give them permission to use your information? Identity theft is not just, oh, I lost my wallet, somebody used my credit card. It's much deeper than that. So going back to the FCRA, 15 USC 1681, can't remember the subsection, but it's in there. It specifically says, if you notify a CRA that there is a transaction being reported by them that is a result of identity theft, they have 4 days to block and remove that item. 4 days, not 30 days. They have 4 days to block and remove that item, right? 4 days. That's it, 4 days. So I need you all to really think this through, okay? You pull your credit report. There's some items on there that shouldn't be on there. Most of the items on there shouldn't be on there, but there are some good, if you have some positive things reporting on your credit, of course, you want to continue to allow those things to report. But if you have negative items on your report, they're derogatory items, they're doing nothing for your score, they're actually tanking your score, then get them removed. You can use the 4-day block and remove method, because again, no consent equals identity theft. I need for you all to really think about this. No consent equals identity theft. I think I'm gonna get a t-shirt. I'm gonna get a t-shirt made that says no consent equals identity theft. Sounds good to me. I'm gonna get a t-shirt made. No consent equals identity theft. That's what identity theft is. And so I'm going to give you some homework. I want you to go to annualcreditreport.com, because annualcreditreport.com is going to give you your native. When I say native, I mean the consumer reports that are coming directly from the source, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. It's coming from the source. Sometimes when we're using credit monitoring companies, there's a lot of information that is left off of these reports. And in order for you to be able to accurately dispute, my suggestion is that you go to annualcreditreport.com and pull native copies of your consumer reports. Do all 3. I don't know if you all know, but you can still go in and pull your consumer reports every single week since COVID. The CARES Act actually allowed us to do that. Every single week since COVID, you can go in and pull your consumer report. That means every 7 days. Annualcreditreport.com. right? Now, when you go to the FCRA, there's going to, and you read it and you see what is required in order for the consumer reporting agencies to complete your request by blocking and removing those items that are being reported that you tell them is a result of identity theft. There are some requirements on your end as a consumer. So you will hear me say this over and over when I'm teaching about consumer law. There are some things that they have to do, and then there are some things that you have to do as a consumer when you are beginning to enforce your consumer rights. That's just the way it is. They have their job, we have our job. So we have to satisfy our part so that they can satisfy their part. So when you go to read the FCRA, it is going to tell you that you have to fill out an identity theft report on the FT. It just says you're going to have to provide identification and you have to provide an identity theft report. This is what the law says. So don't expect to send in a request without these items and they're going to do what you want them to do. They won't do what you want them to do unless you do your part as described under the law, right? It's required. So do what the law says, do your part. Because as long as you are always in honor, meaning you're always, anytime that you are dealing with these companies, you stay in honor and you make sure that your paperwork on your end is always in good order. You are always building up a case against the other party. You're building up a case. You can't have a claim unless you do your part. You have to be able to appropriately state your claim by doing your part. So if you have a collections on your credit report, if you have a charge off, if you have a late payment, if you have high utilization on your credit cards, anything that's not helping you, that's not bringing your score up, if you don't want it on there, then it shouldn't be on there. If you don't want it on there, get it off. You are always in control. Consumer law, once you start studying it, you will realize that the entire consumer law catalog, when the way that these laws are written in a way to ensure that you win as a consumer. And so because we don't study these laws, we're always losing. We're always losing. And Congress said it best. Because we don't know our consumer rights, there is an increased amount of marital instability, personal bankruptcies, right? We are being used and abused and mistreated because we do not know how to properly assert ourselves. So what should your structure look like? What should your consumer report look like in terms of being desirable for lenders, right? They want to give you money. They want to lend to you because your consumer report looks a certain way. All right, so let's get into it. Your structure: one name, one address, one employer, one telephone number. Okay, so one name. That means, what is your name as it appears on your driver's license that you can verify right now? Not talking about name changes. If your middle name isn't listed on your driver's license, it shouldn't be listed on your credit report. If it is listed on your license, then it should match up exactly the way that your ID says or how your ID reads. If you were married and you were divorced and you have reverted back to your maiden name, get the married name removed. Any variation of your name that is on your consumer report that does not match your driver's license should be removed. One address. If you don't live there anymore, you cannot receive mail at the old address. It is no longer deliverable by the USPS, the United States Post Office. It's no longer deliverable. And if you continue to have old addresses on your consumer reports, it is going to leave you susceptible to identity theft. Because just because you don't live there doesn't mean that there isn't still mail going there under your old name. It doesn't mean that there isn't marketing materials going to that address addressed to you just because you don't live there. It doesn't mean that there aren't any pre-approval offers for credit cards going there, right? Oh, there's the mail is still going there, trust me. Mail is definitely still going to your old address. I can tell you that right now. So this is why you remove your old address. Remove your old address. Your telephone number, same thing. One telephone number, your current phone number, one phone number, just one. All right. Just one telephone number. Your employer, one employer. So if you are no longer working at that job, let's get those old employers off. Let's get them off. Now, why is it important? Why don't I have video? It's telling me that I don't have video. Okay. It's like I had video a second ago, then I don't have video. I don't know, it's weird. Is it YouTube? What are you guys doing? Anyway, so you are going to have, the reason why you need to have one, and one of all of these things is because old information is potentially connected to old derogatory accounts, right? So if you go to try to get an item removed that's connected to an old address and that old address is still reporting on your consumer report, the consumer reporting agencies are going to be looking at you like, you want us to do what now? It's just, you're just going to get more pushback is what I'm saying, right? You're just going to get more pushback. It can definitely be done, but I'm just giving you the tips to help you begin to clean up your consumer report, right? All right. Okay, so we dealt with the personal information because that's what it is. One name, one address, one telephone number, one employer. That is personal information. Okay, now you want to ensure that you have a 100% payment history. Now, if you have 30-day lates on your consumer report right now, just make sure that you are not late again in the future because it is not going to benefit you, right? And so again, going back to the 4-day block and remove method under the FCRA, this is 15 USC 1681. And I'll say it again, if you have a late payment on your credit report or your consumer report, you want to get it off, the consumer reporting agencies have 4 days under that law, 4 days, but you have to follow the appropriate measures to get them to remove it. 100% payment history. Now, again, this is all structure related. This is relating your structure, right? Turn my car off. This is part of your structure, 100% payment history. That means you can never be late. And if you have late payments from the past, try and get those removed. You want to make sure that your utilization is 3 to 5%. A lot of people say 10 to 30%. That's fine until you are ready to go and apply for a financial product. You want to get that utilization down to 3%. If you carry a balance on your cards every month, that's perfectly fine. But when you are ready to go and actually apply for something, a mortgage, a car, you want to make sure that you pay it down before you apply. Pay it down before you apply. Okay, utilization. You want to make sure that you have a healthy mix of accounts. Now, everything that I'm breaking down for you right now is how your FICO score is calculated, right? Because your FICO score is a mathematical algorithm that makes up different categories of your credit. And so the structure that I'm giving you represents each category of your credit. The structure that I'm giving you represents each category of your credit, right? So this is the structure that you're going to want to have. A lot of people focus on the score, the FICO score, but there are some people that have an 800 credit score that can't get approved for certain things because their structure is inadequate, right? So this is why I'm talking about structure, because you can have, you know, a 720, 680, 690, 720 FICO score and still get pretty much everything that you want to get as long as your structure is in order. So it's all about the structure. Don't focus on the score, focus on the structure. I think people get caught up with that 800 FICO score because it looks so pretty, and I get it. Ooh, I love looking at it too. I get it, but it's the structure that's going to get you what you need. All right. So what is a healthy mix of accounts? A healthy mix of accounts is going to be a mortgage, a car loan, primary credit cards, meaning American Express, Discover, Visa, MasterCard, credit cards, right? You're going to want to have a few of those. You're going to want to have a few department store cards or store cards or charge cards. A healthy mix of credit cards, right? Healthy mix of credit cards. All right. You may throw a personal loan in there. If you don't have any personal loans, or if you don't have any loans on your consumer report, a lot of people is still getting their tax money back. I recommend going to your local credit union or your bank and doing what is called a pledge loan. And that's when you take a couple of $1,000s, you throw it into a savings account, you go into the bank, and you say that you want to take out a loan secured by your savings. And so what they will do is they will freeze the funds that's in your savings account. They will give you the loan. And when you pay the loan back, you get the money back. It's simple. But it's a great credit builder. It's a great credit builder. Great credit builder, right? All right. Healthy mix of accounts. Let's work on that. New credit. New credit. That means, when was the last time you applied for something? Now. This is where consumer law gets really good and interesting, right? Because talking about new credit, that means inquiries. Now, inquiries. If you apply for something and you didn't get approved, it doesn't mean nobody made any money. You just didn't make any money. Anytime that an inquiry appears on your credit report, I keep saying credit report, but it's consumer report because I'm trying to have you all follow the language, but that's the language that you understand. That's why I keep saying it, right? So if you have an inquiry on your consumer report for a product, financial product that you did not get approved for, somebody made money off of that transaction. Evidence or an inquiry that's on your credit report is evidence that a consumer credit transaction took place. Somebody got paid, you just did not get paid. The best time to get an inquiry removed, even for a new account, is to do it before the account hits your consumer report. Because the CRAs, they can see the inquiry like almost instantaneously when you apply. So it shows up right away. The best time to get those removed is you hop on the phone, like either the same day or the next day, and you get that inquiry taken off. Get it taken off before the account hits your report, right? But again, 4-day block and remove, FCRA, 15 U.S.C. 1681. If you have an inquiry, use the method, get it removed. The law is there for you to use. It's there for you to use the law, right? Okay, so that is new credit, right? So basically, the lenders don't want to see any more than 2 inquiries within a 24-month time frame, right? So this is, again, part of your structure. This is part of your structure, right? All right, so this is, oh, I'm down to 15%. So yeah, everything that I spoke about this evening is related to your credit structure. So you can use the consumer laws to your advantage to shape and mold your consumer report and get it to look the way that you need it to look so that you can go out and apply for the things that you need to apply for. So there's multiple reasons why we need to learn these consumer laws, right? There's multiple reasons. Yes, we are being violated literally every single day. And it's so annoying. It's like so freaking annoying. But you cannot give up. It's hard work. You can't give up. And you have to do it for yourself because nobody else can assert your rights for you. When you begin to speak a certain way, you start to act a certain way, then that is what is going to help secure you and your family's future because you know what it is that you're talking about. Nobody is going to be there to speak for you on your behalf. When you begin to receive phone calls from lenders and you speak in that language after you've begun to assert yourself as a consumer and you are doing your administrative process, ain't nobody gonna be there to speak on your behalf. Nobody's gonna be there. So you need to know this stuff so that you are not dependent on someone else to do things for you that you can do on your own. Nobody else is going to be there but you. So who's the best person to learn but you? It has to be you. It's always you. It has to be you. Your children need to know how to properly assert themselves as consumers. They need to know their consumer rights. This is information that we need to be passing down to our children. They need to know who they are and they need to know their consumer rights. And this is not for you have to be determined and you have to be willing and able to learn. You have to be coachable. You have to read. I will keep saying this over and over and over. We don't read enough. We have got to begin to read these laws. We got to begin to read these laws. This is so important, right? So we really just have to read. We have to read. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to hop on. I wanted to talk about structure because in the midst of everything that I've been teaching for the last few weeks, I felt the need to dive into structure because, again, we have to be able to take these laws and use it. We have to be able to not manipulate, but we have to take these laws and apply it to our personal situation. And this is why nobody can do it for you because you have a story to tell. Nobody knows your story but you. Nobody has firsthand knowledge of the events in your life except for you, right? All the details of your life, only you know that. So when you go to begin to use consumer law, you're literally telling your story and you're getting these companies to, what's the word I'm looking for? You're getting them to acknowledge your story. Does that make sense? So your story is going to be, hey, wait a minute, I went and I applied for a car loan, but I don't remember them giving me any letter or anything telling me that I had the ability to opt out from credit reporting. That's your story. Only you know that. Because once you begin to read the laws, you're going to be like, you know what? They never gave me this, or they never gave me this disclosure, or who else is going to know that they didn't give you anything other than you? So it's really literally telling your story, right? So I hope this information was useful. You all definitely ask your questions in the comment section. I hope that you were able to hear and see me because this YouTube, don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. I'm just learning how to use this thing. I should have did this a long time ago, but I wanted to switch it up this week from Facebook and just sort of bring it over to YouTube, see how you guys were feeling. But if you have a question, drop it in the chat. Don't forget to drop your city and state in the chat so that I can see where you're tuning in from. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. My name is Tamara T. Bush, and I am providing clarity on consumer law in a way that you can understand so that you can take it and apply it to your life. So I hope this information was useful. Peace and blessings, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.